Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about the dark moon of Sagittarius that is happening today on the 12/12 portal and also tomorrow on 12/13. So, first and foremost, when it's a dark moon, the sun and the moon are conjunct, and the sun is in Sagittarius. So when the moon meets up with the sun, that's when we get their dark moon. They are in deep conversation with each other. That's when our masculine and feminine meet back up. Um, they sort of discuss how things have been going since the full moon. And to me, they just take a time of rest. Um, they just rest. They're together. It's a time to go into the void, to let things release, and then to let things start to come in. So the energies around this full moon of Sagittarius, I mean this dark moon of Sagittarius, first and foremost, there's a lot of energy happening in December. We just had Uranus, no, excuse me, we just had Neptune turn direct on the 6th. Okay. And so when Neptune is turning direct, that's an outer planet. Um, we can feel extremely emotional. We can feel very tired. We can feel extremely overwhelmed. And some of us could just, like I said, be super happy. It goes both realms. But just know if you have been feeling overwhelmed, that was sort of the peak of it. Okay. And so now we're, 6 days in to it turning direct. So it'll start to lessen, lessen, get less as the month goes on. The other thing is Mercury is going to turn retrograde tomorrow in Capricorn, which is actually good because this is going to have us really go over the way that we've been speaking to ourselves, and I'll get to that a little bit more in a minute. Um, and then Chiron is going to turn direct on December 26th, which is also the full moon. And Jupiter will turn direct at the end of the month on the 30th. And so all of these asteroids and planets are all shifting, right? All in these 30 days. And that's a lot of energy for us to like kind of navigate here on the planet, as well as Pluto is going to move into Aquarius on January 20th, which is that's the star, right? That's the star of the show. So we're ending the month with all this, with a lot of energy, right? And so on one hand, it's great that we are in Sagittarius season because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Um, Sagittarius in its highest realm is the student, the philosopher, um, the wanderer, right? Sagittarius is curious, it wants to go. Sagittarius is fire. But if Sagittarius is in its lower vibes, fire energy is our ego. We get real, real angry. Okay, we can get real pissed off. We can get, smug, spiteful, bitter. Why isn't it looking like this? Why is it not turning out like this? I did all this shit. Now this is what it is. Like, what the fuck, right? And if you're in that energy, notice it, because that's just Sagittarius at its lower vibe. Okay. We want us to get into the Sagittarius higher vibe, which is like, what's next? What's going on? Holy cow, look how well I showed up in my life. I said I'm going to do this and I did it to the best of my ability. Maybe it's not what I thought it was going to be. So let's see what's on the horizon, right? So we've got to get ourselves into this higher vibe of Sagittarius. The good thing is, Mars is behind Sagittarius, right? And Mars is our divine masculine energy. Mars is also fire. It rules Aries. In spirituality, when we think of ourselves, when we think of the back of ourselves, that is how we see ourselves. So if you were to like close your eyes and think of yourself, we always think like, oh, I need this light coming in on the front of me. When it's really important that you need that light coming in on the back of you. You need to see how you think of the back of yourself because in spirituality, that is how we see ourselves. So what this is signaling to me, that Mars is coming in um behind this dark moon, right? So the dark moon's here, Mars is behind it. Mars is going to give us this courage to start reaching a little bit higher. Mars is going to give us the courage to see, ooh, crap, I am in my lower ego, like, but that's not who I am anymore, Um, I'm just so overwhelmed. I've been in this job, or, I don't know what my job's going to be, or I can't see my way out of this, because nothing's turning out like kind of how I thought it was supposed to be, even though I've had all these really good starts, or you've been doing something and it's not what you thought it was going to be. So Mars is behind us saying it's okay, because it's really important, you guys. We are at a huge ending in a timeline. Okay, Pluto going into Aquarius is really a restart about everything. So, you know, understand that. Understand that we're having all this energy. We might feel confused and overwhelmed. We might not know where we're going, but this is when we start to, really go into faith that we're moving in the right direction. Even if you don't like where you are right now, it is this idea that there's faith that something is going to present itself. Because again, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is that planet of faith. And so it's really important just to be real gentle with yourself right now. Take a lot of deep breaths, um, because we are moving to a higher octave. And sometimes when we get there, we kind of have to like be okay with leaving the lower octave, but we also have to be okay with knowing that this is just where we are right now. Um, this new moon is also making a trine to the North Node, which is in Aries. More fire, right? Aries is the self. Aries is that initiation of being realized. And Chiron, who will be turning direct on the 26th, is in Aries, right? So we've got this new moon in Sagittarius. The Mars is behind it, telling us it's okay. It's time to see yourself as more realized. It's time to see yourself as mature. It's time to see yourself as striving to higher octaves, right? And then we've got this trine energy, which is easy. It's good energy to Aries. And Aries is saying, yeah, come on, you know who you are now. You know what you can do. Stop listening to those other people, right? Which is good because Mercury is turning retrograde tomorrow. So now you can start listening to your own voice, right? You're going to listen to Mercury, who's in Capricorn. Capricorn is that sign of work. Capricorn is earth, right? Capricorn is solid. So you get to give yourself a pep talk like, hey man, I showed up all these times. I know my self-worth. I know I'm good at this, right? And Chiron, who we call the great healer, which was known to be like our wound, we just start talking to Chiron and be like, that's not our wound anymore. Like, that's not it. I've worked through that. I've worked through this. And even if those lower self-esteem things are coming up, that's when you just tell yourself, we're done with this, right? We're moving on. And there can be some grieving with that, like whether we like it or not as people, and we're like, no, this is fine. This is how I wanted my life to be. But like, secretly you kind of thought it was going to turn out a different way. Um, there can be some grieving with that and some mourning. It's okay. Last night I had a dream, that I was playing with these little babies, and I'm 45. I am never going to have children. Okay. I might adopt kids and that's perfectly fine. Um, and I love my life. I know if I wanted to have children early on, I know how they were made, but it was just like this kind of aha, like that's not going to happen. And as a kid, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to grow up, get married, and have some babies. Um, I mean, do I feel devastated? No, but there was that sadness, and that's okay, right? To be like, oh, I get it. Um, but then we keep moving forward. That's not a wound. It's not like, oh, I failed or anything like that. But if as a kid I was always taught this is what you do, and now I'm here and I didn't do it, there might be a little bit of grieving with that. And that's okay. It's okay. And it could be whatever, the same with your life. If you always kind of thought, I kind of just like kind of how that thought it was going to be, it's not it. Pluto's about to hit an Aquarius. It's all going to be totally like way different. Be okay with that. Have a little grieving party. Eat a little cake. It's the holidays. Whatever. Go for a run. Okay. Whatever's going to make you feel better. Um, but just know where you are in your life right now is where you are in your life, right? And it's time to realize, and I mean like self-realization, where you are now. Sagittarius is telling us, put your head up, okay? Go to where you want to go. Sagittarius, Centaur, arrow. He's got to shoot that arrow high in the sky. So it's time to start living our story, okay? It's time to realize that story that was told, you're always going to be a wife and a mother, was never my story, but it was indoctrinated in me. And it's okay to be like, ugh, I kind of always thought that was going to happen. Well, it didn't. All right, moving on. But it doesn't mean I didn't have a little bit of sadness in that dream. Isn't that interesting? I mean, that's kind of how the stuff works. But so know that right now, especially with all this Neptunian, I don't know if that's real word energy that's coming in there, because Neptune is dreams, right? Neptune rules Pisces, right? Pisces, the end of the zodiac, right? And here we are, we're at the end. So we're about to move into a whole new beginning when Pluto hits 0 degrees of Aquarius. And I'm not skipping over Capricorn, guys, don't you worry. Mercury is going direct in you guys, so you're still holding up strong. This new moon in Sagittarius is also squaring this Neptune and Pisces, right? And Neptune and Pisces, Saturn is in there, right? So Saturn is bringing that stability. Saturn was Aquarius's original ruler, so that's good. Bringing in that energy. Saturn now rules Capricorn, where Mercury is going retrograde. So it's bringing in this whole new way of speaking. It's going to be bringing in this new way of really honoring and letting go of the past, okay? Really honoring that your ego can be super pissed off because this is what my life was supposed to look like, whether I knew it consciously or unconsciously. But also honoring where you are now, and it's time to move forward. It's time to really pick your head up and just say, let's go forward. Trust in that adventure, right? Trust, put your little backpack on, right? And being like, well, I got my ticket. I'm going to whatever. Let's just see what happens, right? Take that exhale. Know that these energies are starting to work with us, right? That's why we need to take this rest at this dark moon so we can move forward. Neptune in its lowest and the lower vibes can represent fears because it is the unknown, right? But the idea is we've got Mars at our back, right? We've got that movement. We've got that divine masculine energy. Sagittarius trusts, right? Jupiter, faith. Jupiter's in Taurus. Jupiter is retrograde right now in Taurus. And it is at 6 degrees. And that is part of that. What is it? That was where it was at the eclipse. We had that Taurus lunar eclipse on October 28th at 5 degrees of Taurus. And Jupiter is at 6 degrees. So it's in that energy. And actually, when Jupiter turns direct, it is going to be at 5 degrees. Okay. And that is ending out that cycle of that Taurus, Scorpio eclipses that we've been having, right? So again, this is a lot of endings, which are great, honestly. So we can move forward with this fresh energy, and we can move forward with this fresh excitement, even if right now we don't have anything to feel excited about. We don't know where we're going. We may just like, I don't like my job, or I, you know, have no prospects on the horizon for a partner, whatever. It's okay, you guys. Because all of that is ending. It is just important to know um, this overwhelm and this confusion is turning around because everything is turning direct. When it's because Jupiter will be turning direct at the end of the month, that's going to make us feel more grounded. And also when Jupiter is in Taurus, it's not partying like it usually wants to. Okay, Jupiter is Zeus, remember, and he Jupiter had to get taught a new lesson to calm the fuck down. You just can't do whatever you want. Those days of misogyny are over. Um, and so when he hits that degree again to turn direct, it's sort of like his coming out party, okay, to be more mature, right? Mars already went through that. Aries already went through that. Now Jupiter is getting into that energy as well. Okay, let me check my notes here. There was one other thing that I wanted to say. Um, so let me just recap. Dark moon, Sagittarius. Mars is behind us. Mars has got our back. That's where we see ourselves. That's where we have our power center. Um, it's making a trine to the North Node and Chiron. Okay, so that's good energy, right? To be realized, like I can do this. That's not my wound. That's not my story. Or my story's over, and that's okay. I trust on this new adventure because Neptune is turned direct. Neptune is in Pisces, but Saturn is also in Pisces, making it stable. Okay. So give this energy a little bit of time. Okay. Give yourself a little bit of grace, all right, to feel these things. Um, Mercury is going retrograde tomorrow, which is okay. It's in Capricorn. It's going to give us time to talk to ourselves and give us a pep talk that we need. Um, maybe see things clearly, maybe see things a different way. Um, and again, if you find yourself getting really fired up, that's that lower ego. Okay. Be aware, like be aware. Okay. You want to go in that higher ego, which is saying, I'm inspired. I can move forward. I'm going to learn something new. I finally get to be my authentic self. That's what we're striving for. The last thing I wanted to talk about is Venus and Scorpio. Okay. Mercury is making a sextile to Venus, who is in Scorpio. So Mercury is making a sextile to Venus at 9 degrees of Scorpio. And this is also, she is conjunct Pallas Athena. What I wanted to touch on this is kind of like a comma. So there's so much going on in the world today, right? And we are at this huge time where, especially people as light workers or empaths, and just you could just you don't and you might not give yourself that label, if you will. Um, but a lot of us that hold space, and some of us that don't even know we hold space, right? Um, when Venus moved into Scorpio, it came through really quickly. The Furies have hit the planet Earth, and we can't control the Furies. So you guys can look up the Furies. Pallas Athena is the warrior, right? And Venus is the goddess of love, if you will, goddess of self-worth. Okay. And they are in Scorpio. Okay. Mercury is the messenger. So it's about letting go. It's about surrender. It's about hands off. I was talking to one of my friends who worked at a university for a long time, and she was laid off. And um, one of the things that she did is she held space. I mean, this was her job, but she also held space for a large group of people. And she kept one of the higher students that was in a higher position. She was kind of the reins, like rein it back in, like, whoa, you don't want to do that. And now she's not there. And she said, um, and she told my friend, she was like, look, you're the ones that, you're the one that kind of kept me grounded and not going out there. And she's like, now you're not here anymore. So like, watch out. And that's kind of what's happening right now. Us as people have been holding space for things to kind of be in a certain sort of energy, good, bad, or indifferent. And now this is all saying hands off. It's out of our hands. We've got to let things go the way they need to go in order to move us forward. And the best thing we can do, if you're praying for peace, is to pray for peace. But also realize that we're in a huge shift. We're in a huge shift in how we saw ourselves in a certain way, or how we showed up for others is all changing. And we need to let that go. And again, this is a good time for this to be happening because we're in this mutable energy of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius wants us to move into this new adventure. Sagittarius wants to learn new things. Sagittarius in its highest realm really is, that student. So then it can be the philosopher, right? Then it can be like, oh, wow, you know, we lived through this. Now let's keep moving. So realize that things are changing in a good way. It's a good way. And I know that might be hard to believe when you look around, but that feminine energy that's on the planet, part of that feminine energy is the Furies, and they are loud and clear, and they are here. And you can only do so many awful humanity, crime against humanity before they show up, and they're not going anywhere for a hot minute. Okay. They're going to get us into this age of Aquarius. And the way that we can deal with that is knowing that we hold that space for them to do what they can do. We allow this ego death to come in. We allow ourselves to keep moving forward into a more enlightened society where we want to be, where we see ourselves as living our authentic truth, our authentic stories, and it's okay. It's not going to be like everyone else's. So this is really a lot of energy. We are in this 12-12 portal as well, which is great. So no, we don't have to have it all figured out right now. It's okay if you felt overwhelmed. It's okay if you feel like, well, I did all this because I thought it was going to bring me that, and it's not bringing me that. That's okay. Let it go. See where you are. To make a little list about what you really want to start happening, right? In the new year, we do all those things for the new year. But also make a list and see how you have shown up for yourself on the good days, on the bad days, on the days you didn't want to, but you have, that's really important, you guys. Start having that conversation with yourself. Start knowing we are moving into a higher energy. And so to get there, we've got to let a lot of things go. Okay, friends, that is it for today. Have a great dark moon. Get some rest. We are starting moon school tomorrow. So if you guys want to join, just reach out to me and email me at Independence Street NOLA. It's independencestnola@gmail.com. And then till then, if you guys have any questions, just reach out. Not Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the websites. Okay, guys, have a great dark moon, and I'll see you soon.